up, y'all? It's Anime Gamer. Today, well, tonight actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I was talking about last night, Narcissists in the church, and we're also going to talk about blessings. We're going to talk about blessings. As I was saying last night, these narcissists in the church, they love to tear someone down, and that is not Christianity, y'all. Like, if you ever had a bad experience with these churches, don't let them, take away, what could be, because, when you're in a relationship with the Lord, a spiritual relationship, and, Lord wants to hear from you in prayer, even though we sin, He's just, and forgives us for our sins if we ask Him, and, we genuinely are trying to change, and I get it's hard, there's stuff I struggle with, but, like, another thing is, like, these people, it's almost kind of like they live to tear you down in a way, and, it's kind of pathetic, and, I don't understand why these narcissists, they never give it a rest, and, well, thanks for joining again. Yeah, they never give it a rest, and, like, another thing, too, is it's honestly depressing, because at the same time, these people, they're not supposed to be like this, they're supposed to be there for you, and, they're not, and it's ridiculous, and another thing, like I was saying before, if you've been hurt, by these churches, because I've been hurt by many of them. I can tell you that now. I have been hurt by many of them. I definitely have church hurt, and I think a lot of people do, and that kind of, at the same time, it kind of, messes people up, and sorry, I'm trying to send somebody something. At the same time, it really gives a bad name to, God and stuff like that, because it makes people think negative of, God and, church and whatnot. And, like I said in the last video, church is not the building, it's not some middle class building or whatever, that idolizes money, and, that's not the church, and, I'll tell you something else, like, these churches do, they will try to decide your blessings for you. And you probably wonder what I mean by that. What I mean by that is, say you tell them, say you got something, or, you got some good news, or, say you, I don't know, say you're just grateful for what you have, and, I'm not talking about, just food, not just food, or, some needs and stuff. Obviously, a lot of people are, but some people ain't even grateful for that. But, whether it's like, like as a gamer, I'm thankful for games, and, like this character here I'm playing as now, Jeff, he he's pretty cool. I really like him. You know, I'm thankful for him. And that's a character, you know. You know, it makes him, you know, it's really cute, you know. He is, you know, and but another thing too, like these, you know, so-called Christians, I guess you'll call them, is, you know, in the church. As I was saying, you know, they decide your blessings for you. And when you say you're thankful for, you know, some of the stuff I just said, or, you know, another one is like, you know, say you're thankful. Like, most people that's sane would be thankful that, you know, they have eyes to see, ears to hear, you know, their arms and hands, you know, because you can't play games and do a lot of stuff without your hands and arms, and, you know, same thing with legs and feet, you know, able to walk and run, and, you know, like a lot of these, you know, middle class and whatnot Christians, they don't thank God for that, you know. I highly doubt it. You know, I've never heard of one that did. You know, and it's like, you know, every time I tell them, you know, that I say stuff like that, you know, like back when I went to church, it's like they would just give me some weird look, like, you know, because like the only thing they're thankful for is like money and jobs. Like that's it. I mean, you know, yeah, you could be thankful for money, you know, to pay your bills and whatnot, but it's like, you know, they make everything about money and jobs, and, you know, there's more to life than that, you know. And if you notice, you know, when they say they're thankful for something, a lot of times it's something to do with the Matrix. Like if you think about it, if you honestly think about it, like on all honesty, it's always something to do with the Matrix, you know, like, oh, congratulations, you know, you're a slave to the government, you know, but like, you know, if it's like a 9-to-5 job or something, you know, they, you know, or 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., 4 p.m., whatever it is, you know, like, it's just, you know, that if it's not what they deem like a good job, then, you know, you're doing everything wrong, and, you know, they're the ones who will tell you, oh, well, that's not really that great, or, you know, and I'll tell you another thing, they really brag and boast too, these narcissists in the church. Like, you know, if you'll tell them something good you got going on, they'll be like, well, you know, I know somebody, or I, you know, did this and this and this, or is doing this and this and this, and it's like, you know, who honestly cares? Like, I didn't ask you, you know, what you or somebody you knew or something like that, you know, is doing. You know, I'm sitting here talking about, you know, like, something, you know, I'm thankful for, something I got good going on for me, you know, or, you know, something like that. And, you know, it really, you know, irritates them, it seems like, because, you know, the fact of the matter is, like, if you're not the same status as them, you know, and you got something good going on, you know, it's almost like they hate that. They hate that you're doing good. They hate that you're doing better than them, because, you know, they have no life. Like, you know, yeah, sure, they work and whatnot, but, you know, that doesn't determine a life like they think, you know. And, you know, I've met homeless people, you know, that were better acting and better than them. And, you know, it's just, the ones who really want to serve God, you know, they have been kicked out of the church. And what I mean by that they've been kicked out of the church, is that they're not wanted in the church, you know. And if you're not doing all this stuff, like certain rules, you know, and, you know, obviously the Bible, you know, has got things you got to obey and whatnot. But, you know, I'm talking about like made up rules, you know, stuff that's not in the Bible, like, you know, like, they'll say, like, a lot of off-the-wall stuff, and, you know, like I mentioned before, you know, they say, you know, living with the opposite sex is a sin, you know, but, you know, Jesus didn't say that. Jesus did not say you know, thou shalt not live with the opposite sex due to temptation or playing with fire. You know, Jesus didn't say nothing like that. And, you know, the sin of the woman at the well that they don't really realize is the fact that it was not the fact that she was living with a man. It was the fact that she was fornicating with this man she was living with, you know. And, you can have self-control. You can have self-control. You know, a lot of people say, oh, no, yeah, you can. That's one of the fruits of the Spirit, as a matter of fact, is self-control. And, you know, if you don't have self-control, you know, like, you know, it's tough, you know. I mean, there's certain things I don't have self-control on, and, you know, I pray for it every day, and, you know, like, you know, there's things I wish I could do different, and, you know, it's like, it's almost, you know, like, you know, when you go and talk to people like that, you know, they don't want to help you. As a matter of fact, like, if you was to go, like I told you before, if you tell something to a pastor, and you went and, you know, told it to a pastor in good faith, it'll be all over the church, you know, due to gossip, and because that's what they do. The middle class, they gossip. That's all they do. You know, like, you know, always driving by people's houses. You know, they can't spend money right either. You know, they want to talk about a lot of things about money, but hell, poor people can spend money better than, you know, they can. I mean, even rich people can. Like, you know, they're always buying stuff they can't afford and going bad and dead. And, you know, it's honestly really a pathetic life when you think about it. And, you know, it's, when they say certain things, you know, like, oh, this, and this, you should do this, they really make themselves look stupid. And, you know, like, at the same time, you know, like, and they like to, you know, do an excuse to judge. Like, there was this one time I went to this church, right, and I had a Kiss shirt on, you know, because I like the rock band Kiss, you know, and they was like, you know, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't be wearing that because, you know, that stands for Knights in Shining Satan Service or some off-the-wall crap they said. You know, it was obviously something that they made up, you know, because, you know, KISS, they pretty much completely said it means keep it simple, stupid, and, you know, these people, they will lie, they will say anything just to judge you because you're not like them, or whatever it is. And it's like, you know, at that point, you know, like, that's not a Christian. That's just, you're just a plain narcissist at this point. Like, you're nothing more than that. Like, you're just a narcissist. And, you know, and that's why people don't want to go in church, because of these people. They don't want to be around them. And, you know, I don't blame them, because I don't either. And, you know, the church has been overtaken by these people, and, you know, the good ones, they've been kicked out. They've been kicked out, and, you know, it's sad but true, you know. And another thing too, like, if you'll you know, call them out on their stuff, you know, they'll be like, oh, you know, how could you say that? You know, that, oh no, that's not right, or, you know, you shouldn't be saying that, or, you know, like, you know, it's like, you know, they, like I said in my other couple of videos back, they do not want to take accountability. They do not want to take accountability for their actions, for what they say. They treat people, they do not treat people how a Christian treats people, in other words. Like, they do not, and it's a shame. It really is, because, you know, it could be something great, you know, but like I said earlier in the video, you know, don't let these kinds of people, sorry, I got hiccups. Don't let these kinds of people, destroy what could be with God, because, at the end of the day, these people, they do not determine who goes to heaven and who don't, and I can guarantee you they probably wish they could, to be honest, because, they would only let people of their class in and, like how they are and whatnot, but like, hey, I mean, if you're a Christian living in sin, like I kind of understand, you'd obviously want to say something about that, I mean, and living in sin, is like willfully sinning, I mean, I guess some of us always willfully sin at times, but like, it's what we do with it, and what we do after we do it. Like, are we seeking God? Are we praying about it? Are we trying to stop? Or, are we trying to, try to change, for the greater good? And, but it's like, whatever you got going on, they will always change the subject, about something about them or something about somebody that they know, and that right there, that's a red flag. I'm going to tell you that now. If you ever go to church and they do that, that is a red flag. I will do some, another video in the future about red flags in the church, because I feel like, that should be talked about. Not a lot of people talk about that. And, the churches that you go to, if you look them up on Google, they'll say business hours. And, the church is not a business, and they've turned it into one. Basically what you do is you have to go by the pastor. You pretty much worship a pastor. That's what most churches do, and if you don't put money in the offering plate, you're a piece of crap, to them, or, it's just, it's ridiculousness, it's heresy, that's not how it works. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just at a loss of words sometimes when I talk about this, but another thing as well, if you actually go to a church, and I'll tell you what happens, say if you're poor, or, or you're less fortunate than others, or, you kind of don't fit in, or whatnot, what they'll do, I've noticed, is they will kiss ass. They will kiss your ass, the first couple of times you go there, especially the pastor, he'll kiss your ass a little bit. There's a lot of kiss assing going in the church too, and that's the same, it involves narcissism, kiss assing does, and, I'll make another video about that sometime too, but, they do. They kiss ass, and, after they're done kissing your ass, they go and gossip about you, for one. And two, they'll kiss your ass for so long, and then you'll become like a member, quote unquote, member of the church. And then it's like, after that, it's like they're done talking to you. They're done. They don't want to have anything to do with you. And yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And, another thing as well is like, if someone came to me, and was like, hey, I got this going on, I'm really blessed, I'm really thankful, whatever it be, like, as long as it's like not something against God, like, I'd be like, that's great, that's great, man, or that's great, girl, or, or something like that, like, I would, I would tell them, you know, hey, you know, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you got something going on. You know, let's bringing some positivity and good in your life. You know, and no, that's not how they are at all. You know, they only act that way when it's about them or some other body they know in their own class, and you know. That's another thing. That, you know, Jesus, he as a matter of fact, you know, he ain't for the middle class. He's for the poor, to be honest with you. You know, because that's what the Bible says. You know, and what that means is, you know, the poor people are actually grateful. You know, I've seen very few that aren't grateful for whatever the said thing is, like food or items, you know, materials or, you know, whatever. You know, it's like, you know. A lot of poor people, you know, they're just happy to have like some food and pay the bills, and you know, from what I've seen. And another thing too is like, you know, they'll think, you know, another thing, like say like they'll also decide, like kind of try to decide your testimony as well. Like, you know, like if you tell them like, hey, you know, this really helped me, you know, this really actually opened my eyes to a lot of stuff and got me closer to God, you know, and it maybe saved my life and whatnot, you know, and you say, oh, you know, oh, no, I don't see how God can speak through that, or I don't see, no, I think you're just missing the point, like, you know, no, dude, get that out of here, like, no, you do not know what that person is saying. You do not know anything about it. They are just telling you as a testimony to try to lead other people to God. And, you know, when you're sitting there and saying, you know, oh no, you know, about like the testimony or whatnot, it's like, you know, that's not only a slap in the face to them, but it also makes you look like a jackass. And, you know, that's a slap in the face to God, because, you know, at this point, you know, if someone is talking about that, you know, you're not only saying that person is lying, but you're also saying God is lying, you know, and that's something you don't want to do, like, because, you know, the Bible says, you know, that's one thing God can't do is lie, you know, and because God doesn't lie. And, you know, people like that, you know, they take great pride and great pleasure in tearing you down. And, you know, that is not a Christian, like I mentioned earlier. It's not a Christian. And if someone is like, you know, like sitting there tearing you down, then they'll be like, oh, you know, I got the job, and, you know, I'm so glad, you know, and that's what you'll hear. You'll never hear like, oh, I'm thankful for something else, or it's always about the job, something to do with the matrix. And, you know, I mean, yeah, sure, you know, you need money to pay bills and whatnot, you know, I mean, but it's like at the same time, whatever your profession is or however you get money, make money, you know, whether you're, you know, a YouTuber, whether you go to work at McDonald's or a fast food chain, or whether you're a high-paying job or whatever it is, you know, sorry, I got hiccups again. That honestly really should not matter, especially when it comes to the church, because, you know, like I said before, people, they worship the pastor because of his status, what he has, like all these cars, houses, or, you know, something like that, you know, and, you know, it's kind of stupid, you know, like, I'm thankful for games, like, I am extremely thankful for games, but, you know, at the same time, you know, I can't take them with me when I die, you know, like, you know, when I die, you know, they will remain on earth, you know, so it's like, you know, it's really a stupid mindset to have, like, because whatever the said thing is, you know, and they're doing that, you know, it's like, you know, You know, there's people that's less fortunate, you know, in life, and you know, that, like I said before, they think that that is their fault. They're the blame because if you're poor or if you're homeless or you're hurting, they're the blame. You know, and I would say if you're like on drugs and you're homeless, you know, yeah, you're the blame in that situation. But, you know, it's like, you know, say someone is like, you know, on disability or working or, you know, something like that, you know, and they're homeless, you know, and it's like, you know, you're sitting there saying that's their fault, you know, and they're doing the best they can, you know, and, you know, that's a slap in the face too. Like, you know, that's not something the Christian should be saying to somebody else, you know, but they do, though, they do, and you know, that's another reason I will not go to church is because of how people are, you know, and that like I said, they take great pride in tearing you down. I mean, I've had it at every single church I've been to, and they're never happy for you, you know, but I guarantee you if you said, oh, you know, I got the job you wanted me to get, you know, and I did what you wanted me to do, then they would probably, you know, praise you or something, you know, because it's like, you know, oh, I'm the boss, I told them what to do, and, you know, like, man, just get that out of here, like, get that out of here. No, we do not do that here, you know, we do not conform to nobody, we do not conform to the Matrix, and you know, we conform to God, and you know, God says, you know, he said a parable, you know, in the book of Matthew, you know, the Pharisee was like, you know, thank God I'm not like other men, and you know, the tax collector, you know, he couldn't even look up to heaven, you know, because his sin was great, and you know, he was less fortunate and stuff, and you know, and Jesus even says, you know, the tax collector was the one that was blessed, not the Pharisee. And a lot of these people in the church, you know, that's what they are. They are modern day Pharisees, you know. There's actually a Christian band I like has a song about that, and you know, that they are modern day Pharisees. You know, they'll cry this and this and this, you know, but you know, God talks about how you treat other people. He talks a lot about that, and you know, it's not how divided by class, you know, that's all Matrix stuff, you know, that's, you know, that ain't how to be, you know. And another thing too is how I was talking about like the testimonies earlier. If you'll tell them, like, I have like several things that's helped me, whether it be games, a couple movies, or whatnot, you know, and you know, a lot of them, they'll be like, nope, that didn't happen, or no, that couldn't happen, or I don't see how that happened, or you know, like, it's like, you know, because here's the thing, your testimony is more powerful than what they can muster up to say, you know, and what I mean by that is, you know, they'll sit here and boast and brag about a job or money or got a house, got a car, a fancy car, you know, and, you know, when it comes to a vehicle, you know, as long as it gets you to point A to point B, that's all that matters, you know. House, you know, same thing, you know, as long as it's a roof over your head, it's not a fire hazard, you know, you're paying your bills and stuff like that, you know, it doesn't matter, you know. But, you know, to these people, it will, you know, like if they see you have not got a house like they do, they won't come to your house. They won't come to check on you because they don't care about you already, you know, by the stuff I was saying earlier. And that's just the icing on the cake. And, you know, they're really rude too. Like they're really rude and will tear you down. And it's, it's really dumb, like, because, sorry, I'm sending a message to somebody. It's really dumb too because, you know, you're supposed to be saving souls, you know, and here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and, you know, some people may disagree with me, but, you know, if you disagree, then you're clearly not seeing, you know, what's in front of your eyes. You know, these people that are like this, they are tearing more people away from God than they are saving. And, you know, like, because I've seen it happen. Like, you know, I talked a little bit about it in one of my videos before. Like, you know, the person who played as Kylo Ren, you know, Adam Driver, you know, he used to go to church. He used to be, you know, heavily involved, you know, within the church, Christianity, and, you know, now he's not because of the way his church treated him. Like, you know, this dude, he goes to church in good faith, and then these people have the nerve, these middle-class Christians have the nerve to get up in his face and tell him he's going to hell because of these movies he's acting in and, you know, stuff like that, you know. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's certain movies you should not act in. I agree with that, you know, but the fact of him, they're saying he's going to hell for acting in a film, you know, as long as it wasn't something that's, like, heavily going against God and stuff, and, you know, something like that, you know, like, as far as, like, you know, Star Wars, I mean, I don't like the whole new Star Wars crap anyway, but, like, you know, because he actually left Disney, to believe it or not, because of, like, all the wokeism and whatnot, you know, because Adam Driver's not all about the woke crap, and, you know, he quit playing Kylo Ren because of it. I mean, the only thing that came out of the new Star Wars that was any good was Kylo Ren, and, you know, that's what they said, you know, he was going to hell, straight to hell, got in his face and screamed at him. Like, I watched him talk about it. He actually cried about it. And, you know, I kind of wish, you know, that it wasn't, you know, I wish it would be them that would really pay for that instead of the other person that's neglected God now because of this. But I don't make the rules, you know, God does. And, yeah, I like old Disney stuff, you know, I do like Kingdom Hearts, though, but, you know, that's kind of from Japan, so, but, yeah, like, that's what they do. They, you know, and he was thankful, you know, he got to do that, and, you know, he's got all that money, you know, and he isn't happy, you know, about it, you know, and, you know, they think if you got all that money, you know, oh, you shouldn't be mad, depressed, or none of that, you know, you should be happy, you know, all the time, and, you know, a person who's saying they're happy all the time, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, that is a red flag. If they act happy all the time, that is a red flag because, you know, something ain't right. Something's not right with how they are because nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody is happy 24/7 like that. And, you know, they act like they are. And that's a red flag too, you know, and it's pretty stupid how they will be and they will act and treat people because, you know, you're also supposed to treat others how you want to be treated. Like, you know, I'm against woke people, but, you know, like, at the same time, like, you know, I wouldn't wish death on them, you know. I mean, just, you know, simple disagreements and whatnot, and I mean, yeah, their opinions are wrong and whatnot. I mean, but, you know, at the same time, you know, I don't wish death on them, you know, and, but, yeah, also another thing too, how I was talking about the testimonies a while ago, again, is if you tell them that, you know, please pray for so-and-so, or, you know, or something, you know, oh, they're going through a tough time, or, I highly doubt they pray. I highly doubt they pray for that specific individual, because they're not the same status, they're not the same way as them, they don't like them, you know, or something like that. And you know, that's not how to be either. You know, I believe in praying for everybody, you know, even people that I don't like. You know, yeah, it can be hard, you know, but you know, when it comes to you're just not liking somebody based on, you know, what they have and don't have, and just get that out of here. And oh yeah, we all need to pray. I mean, I could pray more too, to be honest. You know, I pray every day, you know, but I probably should pray more than once and twice, you know. And I mean, but yeah, it's like, you know, another thing too is, you know, when you're sitting here telling these people, you know, like that, like I was saying before, and they'll just like deny that it happened. They'll deny it because it did not. It's not how they did it. You know, their testimony like is something. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that it's not a powerful testimony, but what I'm saying is more so of less. It's a less powerful testimony. It's a less, you know, it's a less impactful one. You know, like, so say like you have a testimony and, you know, they say, oh, well, you know, God freed me of pornography, and I used to do drugs back in the day, and, you know, yeah, that could be a pretty powerful testimony, you know, but like, you know, say a person is like majorly depressed, you know, they don't really appreciate their life, or, you know, the things in it, or, you know, say they're suicidal, and, you know, and then they find that whatever that is, you know, was able to get it through, you know, get them through it, you know. And, you know, sometimes I'll tell my testimony on here, but like, you know, they will deny it. They will say that is not a testimony. And the thing is, you know, that testimony is more powerful than what they can muster up. You know, that's why they are quick to shut it down. That's why they don't want to listen to it. They don't want you to preach it at the church, because, see, if you go to a church and preach a testimony, you know, an extremely powerful testimony, you know, already you have been through more than the pastor. You've already been through more than the pastor, because most of these people, you know, that are middle class and stuff like that, you know, they've had mommy and daddy help them their whole teenage lives, you know, and, you know, mommy and daddy bought them this, mommy and daddy bought them that, and, you know, that's something they necessarily won't say out loud, you know, but I've seen it. And, you know, you know, something like that, you know, oh, well, I was going to lose my job, and, you know, oh, I found another job, and, you know, like, that's not a testimony. That is not a testimony at all. And, you know, a testimony is something, you know, that it's something very impactful, and I still have yet to hear a good testimony from most people in church. You know, I really do. I don't think I've ever heard one that I can recall. As a matter of fact, I don't remember it either, if it did happen. But I'm kind of highly doubting it. But, you know, like, I asked one time to give my testimony at a church one time. This was years ago. And, you know, testimonies do change over the years, you know, especially if you're like, you know, you struggle with depression or anxiety and suicidal issues, or, you know, mental health and stuff like that. You know, testimonies do change over time, you know, and, you know, they do seem to kind of become longer. But, you know, that the guy, you know, I told him a little bit about my testimony, and he was like, well, you know, we don't really do testimonies at the church, and you know, I thought that was a red flag. Like, regardless if you do testimonies at the church or not, like that's still bad. Like, if you don't do testimonies, that's pretty bad. But like, you know, I know that's not what he was saying. He was saying, you know, I'm not letting you on my pulpit. Like, you know, you're just not worthy. Like, I just don't like your testimony. You know, like you're not on my level. Like, you don't have what I have, and you know, that's what it boils down to, you know. And that, like, I mean, there's this one church, you know, obviously a Pentecostal church. They're a cult, and I'll do a video on that too sometime. They was really talking bad about this farmer who he didn't go to school to be a pastor, you know, because that's not how you be a pastor anyway. You know, that's something the Matrix has taught people and the middle class and whatnot. But, you know, this farmer would, you know, preach to some people, which they call a congregation, you know, that, oh, you know, he was in his farm clothes, you know, his clothes were a little dirty, and, you know, he was wearing like overalls and, you know, had dirt on it. What the heck? Had dirt on him, and the guy was like, you know, there's no, that man's leading all his people to hell that he's preaching to, leading them all to hell. And he said that because of how he was dressed, because he did not fit the Pentecostal dress code. And, you know, I hate to be him when he has to answer to that before God. You know, I'll have to answer things to myself, you know. I'm not saying I'm perfect, you know, but, you know, at that point, you know, that's kind of a different story, because, you know, that is judging someone hardcore, like, for real. Like, that is judging someone so hardcore, you know, based off of the clothes they're wearing. And, you know, it's not like, you know, the guy was like, you know, preaching to a congregation in like a freaking dress and, you know, or something, you know, like, it was just, you know, like some overalls and, you know, probably some jeans, you know. They don't believe in men wearing jeans, you know. They believe in them wearing these dress pants and, so, I mean, they think a man could wear jeans, you know, because they disagree with women wearing them. But, you know, it's a bunch of bullshit rules that they've made up, you know, in that kind of denomination. And it's heresy, that denomination is. I mean, you know, but, yeah, you know, it's a crazy world out there in the church, you know. It's a lot of craziness out there. There's a lot of weird stuff out there, but but yeah, like, you know, they need help, honestly, you know. Like, there's been things, you know, like games and some movies, you know, that they've honestly made me cry, because they really hit home. And, you know, like, it strengthens my faith too. That's another thing. It strengthens your faith. And, you know, if you say something like that, you know, it's, you know, they disagree, you know, and it's like, you know, they're right and you're wrong. It's almost like they know you better than you know yourself. And, you know, at that point, you know, if that's how you feel, you know, no, that's not how that works, you know. And because if someone is doing something like that, you know, yeah, you know, that's not how things work, you know. And but yeah, I mean, they don't want to change. They do not want to change, and they're not going to change. They take, like I said, they take great pride, great joy in, you know, tearing someone down over what they're saying. And, you know, I mean, like, they will, like, they'll always say, like, you know, it's like they always want to brag, like they're some hard worker, you know, and yeah, I agree. Pride will lead them to eternal damnation, yeah. But, you know, it's like, you know, they're always like thinking, oh, you know, I do my job, you know, and more than likely they're probably sitting on the internet and probably doom scrolling some too at work, you know, and it's like, you know, so you're not working too hard. You're not working too hard, you know, if you're able to doom scroll and, you know, stuff like that at work, and, you know, now I'm not saying that all of them do that. There's probably some who, you know, genuinely do the work, you know, they do put in the blood, sweat, and tears of their job, and, you know, props to them, you know, if you can do that, do it, you know, like, if that's what you want to do it, but, you know, like, don't be sitting here, you know, saying people ain't like you, you know, looking down on them, and, you know, that's another thing, too, like, these people, they will look down on people like on food stamps or Social Security income, and, you know, it's like, and I've noticed something too about like Social Security, how they are for SSDI, which is like, you know, kind of like, you know, they've worked before, so they can draw SSDI when they retire. You know, they're for that, but, you know, the SSI is the one they despise. They don't like people who's on it. You know, and, you know, it would seem like these people would be honestly kind of grateful that they've got like something to pay their bills with. You know, they're not homeless, you know, because regardless if you're on that, you know, as a man, you know, you're still doing your part, you know, you know, if you have a family, you're still doing your part, and, you know, that's what matters, you know. And, you know, and I'll tell you another thing, if you tell them, like, I've seen other people, like, say, you know, well, I can't hold a job because this, and this, you know, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, you can, you know, yeah, you can, because, you know, if I can do it, you can do it, you know, and that's a narcissistic mindset right there. If I can do it, you can do it. That is a narcissistic mindset, and, you know, what they are doing is they are pretty much, you know, telling you, hey, I know you more than you know yourself, and no, you don't. No, you don't. You know, it's like, you know, and they'll say, you know, God, with all things are possible with God. You know, if you say, oh, I can't work a job, or so-and-so says it like this, or, oh, all things are possible with God, you know, like, yeah, I'm not lying. That's not a lie. Yeah, that's true. All things are possible with God, you know, but like, you know, just because all things are possible with God, you know, that's not really talking about stuff like that, you know, like, you know, that's talking about, like, you know, you got to use common sense when it's like, you know, because that's like saying, you know, well, I want to go Super Saiyan 3, so, you know, with all things, you know, when God, all things are possible, so, you know, better start screaming, and, you know, my hair will grow real long, and, you know, I'll be Super Saiyan 3, and, you know, no, that's not how that works, you know. God is not a genie. God, you know, that's not how God works, and, you know, that's talking about stuff like trials, tribulations, you know, stuff like that, and, you know, a person who that they don't realize is, you know, Paul, you know, he talked about in the Bible, you know, that Paul, as a matter of fact, Paul was so plagued with his sin, like so plagued, you know, and, you know, and I kind of relate to him on this too. He was so plagued with his sin, though, that, you know, he was begging God. He was like, please take the thorn out of my flesh, please. Like, he was begging God. And guess what? God didn't do it. God did not do it because it kept Paul humble, you know, and you know, that's what they don't realize. Stuff like that, something like that, it could keep you humble. You know, depression, it could keep you humble. You know, anxiety, it can keep you humble. You know, as long as you're humble, you know, that's what matters. You know, you got to be humble, and it's just, you know, they do not care about your soul. That is the damn issue. They do not care about your soul, and you're not going to make them see your way. You're not going to make them change. You know, you can say anything you want, like, well, the scriptures say that. Oh no, that's not what that means. You know, no, I'm right and you're wrong. This is what it means. You know, and no, that's not how it boils down to. You know, like, you know, there's certain things in the scriptures, you know, that I know what they mean, and that is what they mean, you know, but like, you know, don't be speaking on something you don't know what it means, and definitely don't be saying, oh, you know, acting all narcissistic about it all, and, you know, saying that, oh, no, this is what it means, you know, this is what you should do, and, you know, but yeah, you know, like, I've heard it all, you know, all this stuff they say, you know, and I'll make a video about a lot of stuff they say eventually, and, you know, it's just, at this point, you know, it's really gotten ridiculous, you know, because, you know, it's almost like they want to decide who goes to heaven, who goes to hell, you know, and that's not of God. It's really not. It isn't of God, and you know, don't be deceived by people like this. Do not be deceived, and you know, I've dealt with a lot, you know, from the church, and you know, maybe I should talk about it some, you know, in a video or whatnot, you know, but it's a wild world. It's a wild, crazy world in the church. It's a wild, crazy world out of the church too, you know. So, but you know, a church, you know, should be a safe haven. It should be a safe haven for, you know, for those who want to come and serve the Lord, you know. You know, and here's the thing, you know, it's not about a building, you know, like I said before, it's not about a building. That don't mean shit to the Lord. That does not mean crap to the Lord. You know, a building, that does not matter. They're fancy buildings, you know, that's pretty much the same as the Pharisee temples, if you really want to get technical. It's the same thing, you know. They act like that you can't, I mean, yeah, sure, you could say, you know, teach about, God, you know, elsewhere, but you know, if you're not in the church doing it, you know, you're not doing your part. You're not doing, you know, you're not conforming to the matrix. So therefore, they think, oh, you're not doing your part for the Lord, you know. And I mean, the people make me sick, to be honest. But yeah. I'll probably end up making a part 3 to this, I reckon, you know, because like I said, there's just so much to talk about, you know, when it comes to it, and, you know, I don't want to just sit here and ramble, you know, for like an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, you know, so, but, yeah, I mean, you know, I thought I would come on here and, you know, do a part 2, and I don't know when I'll do part 3, you know, I got some other stuff I want to talk about, you know, and it's crazy stuff, you know, but yeah, you know, remember this, you know, Jesus said, if you come to me, you know, and you're having church with someone, you know, it could be anywhere, in the street, the forest, you know, the Sahara Desert, you know, out in the swimming pool, you know, whatever, you know, that is church, you know, and that is church. God says, you know, where 2 or more are gathered in my name, that is church. I am amongst them. I'm amidst them, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, and even at the beginning of the day, what they say don't matter. What they say don't matter. It's what God says that matters, you know, and God says, you know, that is church. So, yeah, you know, but I'm going to end this one here. You know, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless, and, you know, I hope y'all are doing okay, and y'all be in my prayers and all that, you know, so y'all have a good one. Oh, hey, what's up? I guess I could talk a little bit more, actually. There's just something, that thing that came to mind. Another thing, too, is like, you know, I'm not on there right now. Another thing, too, is like, you know, when, how I was talking about earlier, depending on how it was, you know, what you're talking about, you know, they'll say, like I said, you know, they'll say, oh, that didn't happen. You know, that's also gaslighting too, you know, and there's a lot of gaslighting going on in the church too, you know, and I'm going to do a video about that as well, you know, but yeah, you know, there's a lot of gaslighting in the church, and that's what that is, you know. They're saying, you know, oh no, that didn't happen. You know, oh no, you're wrong. You know, no, that didn't happen. You know, like that's a form of gaslighting. You know, that's what gaslighting is. You know, and gaslighting has no place in the church. It's got no place anywhere, to be honest with you. You know, you should never gaslight someone, but like, you know, there's a lot of people that do it, you know, and you know, the one place it should not be, though, is the church. I can honestly say that, you know, but believe it or not, that's one of the main places it's at, to believe it or not. But, you know, but anyway, yeah, I'm going to end this one here. Like I said, you know, I've talked long enough. But, yeah, you know, God bless y'all, and I hope y'all have a good one, and God bless you.